is, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it from the man himself. Andrew Schulz, smartest man on the internet, says Donald Trump's going to win in a landslide. I'm kidding about the smartest man on the internet thing. I don't know. Andrew Schulz is a really funny guy, very successful comedian. I'm a fan. Appreciate his work. He does a comedy podcast. It's amazing. You definitely want to check it out. But he says that after he does this interview with Trump, walking around the street, the looks he's getting, he's like, man, Trump's going to win. But check this out. Here's the big story. Schulz says that his show gets canceled because he did an interview with Donald Trump. Let's go, dude. Are you kidding me? Take a look at this clip from his podcast. I think this is the right clip. Let's play it.
So it was an awesome interview and everybody loved it. And then a day later, Dove was like, oh, by the way, the venue you're going to shoot your special in canceled your shows. No. Within 3 hours.
Just hours after he released an interview with Trump, they say that he got this shut down. Let me play this clip for you because we got it in full right here.
And we get an email 3.5 hours out. And 3.5 hours after the interview, they cancel shows. Read the exact email because they're canceling my shows, but they're also begging Live Nation to not cancel future shows with them.
Oh, dude.
Like they still want business, but they're like, just not this guy. Now, I don't know if it's a Trump interview, but
absolutely
the day before it came out, we were ready to go and we were going on sale this week. And 3.5 hours afterwards, we get this email.
Yeah.
First off, I want to thank you for thinking of BAM for Andrew Schulz's upcoming comedy show. We are always excited when promoters consider our space for their events. No problem. After some internal discussions with leadership, it was decided that BAM is not the right fit for this show at this time. That said, we really do appreciate you reaching out. We'd love to work with you in the future and for future events that might be a better match for BAM.
There you go, dude. So I think this is it. This is the elite versus the street, the people versus the machine state. And there are people who they want to march in lockstep with this machine. I'm going to give a shout out. I was watching Fox News this morning, and they had this interview where they went to a bunch of barbershops and they were asking black men. And I heard this old black man say that there's a lot of people in this country that still have the slave mindset. They think they're voting for Massa. That's what he said. I completely agree with him. But I don't think it's people voting for Trump. I think it's people voting for the machine state. These institutions that ban, they shut down the show of Schulz. They are just saying, like, if I just give in to the corrupt machine state, it'll all go away. It will not. It's never been the case. It will never be the case. It'll only get worse for you. But you know what, my friends? We are winning. Andrew Schulz, they say, is the comedy podcaster who roasted Trump to his face. Yeah, well, surprise, surprise, Trump's used to it. Wasn't there like a Trump roast a while ago? So this is a guy they say actually was not just pandering to Donald Trump, and they cancel him. Now they're going to Live Nation saying, please don't shut us down. Please don't cancel any other shows with us. But I wonder what Live Nation is going to do. Because money talks and BS walks, as they say. This means that if you're a big company and you're selling tickets and then they cancel on you, bro, I got to tell you, okay? When I get canceled on and I say, look, we sell tickets, we generate revenue, we have to spend money up front. That's how business works. If you cancel me now, you are putting an undue burden on me. Why would I do business with you later? Indeed. Well, let's take a look at what Schulz says about this interview. He says, Trump is going to win by a landslide. It's not close anymore. Before he came on, I was like, he ain't got a chance. He's coming on here. He's got to be down bad. Schulz said in a newly posted recap, Trump's appearance on Schulz's flagrant podcast brought in 3 million YouTube views in under 48 hours. But since the interview was uploaded online, Schulz said he's gotten into a peak of just how many people still support the ex-president. It was the looks on the street. It was like, when someone was trying to sell you drugs, they give you this nod. That's all I've been getting for the last week. The interview got very different reactions from viewers depending on their preconceived notions about Trump. Those who support the president, ex-president, said that he showed his charisma, Schulz put it. While the other side said he embarrassed himself. What bizarro world do we effing live in where both sides see the same thing so differently, he remarked. Yeah, my brother, Andrew. This is what I believe Scott Adams called the same movie, same screen. I can't get it, can I? The same screen with two different movies. But I must tell you, there is a reality and there is a lie. Give you an example. I recommend everybody watch the Piers Morgan episode that I did, uncensored. It was a cacophony of nonsense, but I participated nonetheless. I also participated in the cacophony as I was just talking at the same time as some woman or whatever. I don't know. People were saying my mic wasn't even on anyway, because like my mic would get shut off or whatever. Surprise, surprise. They said my mic wasn't on half the time. But I recommend you take a look at it, because Wajahat Ali, who I agree with on many things on the show, said Donald Trump's ducking the interviews. He's not going on the podcasts. You know, he's hiding because Kamala is doing all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, that's the fake reality. So as an example for you, Andrew, that's the fake reality. Then there is, to a lesser extent, people who live in the right-wing reality. It is to a lesser extent. That is, Kamala's ducking the interview. She's not doing press. Then there's reality. And the right tends to view it this way. Reality. That is, Donald Trump did do a bunch of mainstream corporate press interviews that we often complained about because it made him look bad. When Trump was down in the polls, he was doing these interviews. He was going on podcasts. As he's improved dramatically, he's slowed things down. Kamala was inverted. When she was ahead in the polls, she was slowing things down and not doing interviews. But Donald Trump started to gain in the polls. He was taking the narrative. I believe what likely happened is they went to Kamala's team and said, you need to do more press. She said, okay, because Donald Trump was gaining. Democrats released, there's an internal Democrat, report that basically said the more Trump speaks, the better off he does. And that these anti-Trump ads they were running were benefiting him. They needed to change their strategy. Trump improved because people like to hear what he has to say. They like what he says when he talks. That means if he goes on the corporate press and they make him look bad, people still like what he's saying. Kamala Harris, not so much. So when Democrats come out and say, Kamala, amazing in that Fox News interview, what reality are you living in, dude? So this is for you, Andrew, my buddy. You are correct that people are seeing the world two different ways, but one group is nuts and the other group is grounded in reality. That is to say, Trump has his crazies, but that's a fringe and not the default. Democrats, by default, tend to be living in fake reality, and it is the fringe that know actually what's going on. Shout out to Antifa, because as crazy as they are, they say Tim Pool is a liberal. No joke. They know what liberals are. They have a saying, they say, you scratch a liberal, you'll find a fascist. You see, they know what a liberal is. I'm kidding when to imply that liberals are fascists. The point is they differentiate between the right and liberals, and they don't like either of them. When I go to Polymarket and I see that Donald Trump is up 23 points following that Fox News interview, there is an objective reality. The majority of people watch what happened and say Kamala Harris is tanking. She cannot win. And Andrew Schulz says it too. He walks down the street and he sees it, and people say to him, they give him the nod. He knows it's looking good. They're going to say, Kamala Harris's camp used a clip from the interview in a campaign ad where Trump said Mike Pence couldn't cross the line in doing what's right, in my opinion. Intercut with clips of his supporters storming the Capitol, chanting, hang Mike Pence. Schulz joked to Trump in the moment. Another favorite moment for anti-Trumpers was when Schulz laughed uproariously at Trump, as Trump said he was basically a truthful person. But Schulz implied Wednesday that though the sit-down was interpreted as anti-Trump, he hadn't approached it that way. If you're a right-wing guy, you like Trump, you really like this charisma, and you saw that episode come out, you're like, this is awesome. If you're a left-wing guy and you saw us laughing and joking around, you might interpret it as us making fun of him. And that's truly what you see. Schulz seemed less interested in what woman may have thought about the interview. Well, it's because Andrew Schulz is funny. Schulz didn't clarify whether he was laughing with or at Trump. But he did share his criticisms of Harris's interview in the lead up to the election. In his view, Harris hadn't performed well in friendly interviews and hasn't been able to dunk him home because she's used to arguing and fighting with people. It's like the questions are predetermined, and you know that Colbert's looking at you and he wants you to be great and he wants his audience to love you, and they're fluffing you up. And she's not used to this. She's a woman of color that comes up in the effing justice system like she's a lawyer. She's a prosecutor. I don't think she knows how to be loved publicly. Absolutely. I completely agree. She barely wins the election. She does. And she's in massively Democrat state, right? The interview was fire, bro, Schulz replied, laughing. I don't know what to tell you. That's great. Charlemagne the God says, was talking, what did he say? Just yesterday hosted a small town event with Harris, sharing on his and Schultz's podcast, Brilliant Idiots, that a young black man told him point blank, flagrant is going to get Trump elected. Yup. You know, look, my friends, you know what this show is? This morning show on Timcast IRL, we are preachers for the choir. Now, I get it. If you know what's going on, you're paying attention, you're going to watch this show, and you're going to understand that I'm here to the best of my ability to tell you what's really going on. The left will lie to you. Kamala Harris runs this clip where it's Trump saying the enemy within over and over again, and the audience is like, oh, and they're all freaking out. But Trump didn't say anything in those clips. You need a full sentence to understand Trump's motivation. But the left is motivated by interpretation and vibes and not by facts. Trump can scream and flip a table and say, I just love ice cream. And I'm going to be like, wow, there's a guy who really loves ice cream. And the Democrats are going to say, Donald Trump's insane. He was violently attacking people and flipping things over for no reason. And you're like, well, there's exuberance and fervor and there's violent rage. They're different things. Democrats can't understand any of this. It's also why you get so many woke people who don't know comedy. Sorry, that's just true. They can't seem to understand jokes. Well, I'll tell you what right now. I don't know about a landslide victory, but Trump going on these shows where they laugh at him is good for him. People enjoy this stuff. He makes fun of himself. He gets it. Good luck. Smash the like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with everyone you know. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. We'll be back with more segments soon. And we'll see y'all then.